my mom was thinking about divorce, and we went to a Church of Christ church, and she went to them, some of the pastors and, whoever, and they told her, you'd be better off to kill him than to divorce him. God won't forgive you if you divorce him. Shortly after that, I remember my parents arguing in the living room, like late at night. I was in bed, and I got up, and I would kind of hide in the hallway and watch them. And my mom pulled out my dad's firearm and pointed it at him across the living room.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about recovery.
The rewards, the challenges.
Let's talk about our failures.
We are flawed people, after all.
Let's challenge the stigmas that weigh us down.
Because while most of us are looked at,
Few of us are seen.
Let's talk about addiction.
And how Christ overcomes our weaknesses.
Because we are loved.
because we are loved.
Because we are loved.
We are loved.
We are
Because
loved.
we are loved.
My name is Jon Klover, and this is my wife, Hayley. And both of us grew up in very dysfunctional homes with a lot of pain and abuse and addiction, which led to our own struggles with addiction and really just a lot of destructive patterns in our lives. But God is good. He has brought a lot of healing and restoration in both of our lives. And now we get to bring that same hope to others.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Jesus Loves Addicts. We're glad you're here. And I'm excited about this one. We have a pair of guests today. And just in the little conversation that we tend to get to have with them before we start the show, my interest is piqued. Yeah. So today we have Mr. Jon and Mrs. Hayley Klover. And here's what I know. So they both now run an operation or are part of an operation called Operation Lost Sheep, which really fulfills one of the calls that Christ gave us to go and preach to the prisoners, right? Yeah. And they literally do that. This is a jailhouse ministry, and they lead people to the next steps, which is often treatment. And so I'm going to let them fill in the details when we get there. What I love about this is that much of their story is really going to revolve around kind of surviving an addicted home life in their childhood. So yes, they went through their own use. Jon describes his as kind of running into sort of heavy and hard consequences very early on, which is a godsend because it pulled him from the flames quickly. Whereas Hayley was caught up for about 12 years in her addiction. But it really, from what I can gather from both of you, has serious roots in childhood and the home life addiction. So I'm really looking at getting in that. And then we will weave in and out of that, as I love that you guys were careful to mention how relationship addiction parallels this, because that is so often true. So we need to start somewhere on this show. Flip a coin. So we
already talked about it.
There you go. You want to start with Hayley? What did your childhood look like?
Well, I grew up for as far back as I can remember. My father was an alcoholic and drug addict. Cocaine was his main drug of choice. And I think there was some women in there that he had affairs with as well.
But your parents were married? I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay. Yes, my parents were married. And so, it was a lot of abuse. He would, binge on the weekends. After he got paid, he would be gone for several days. He would come home and abuse my mother horrifically.
In front of you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
So it was all on camera, so to speak. Okay.
Yes. Definitely that. There was, multiple times where I remember Mom having to go to the hospital because she had been beaten so bad. She was vomiting blood. And that happened on several occasions. So I remember even myself being interviewed by people at the hospital, whoever it was,
I was fixing to ask, did the legal system intervene?
So, no, because I was told to lie and say that she fell downstairs, but we didn't have
By
stairs.
her or by him? Who told you to lie? Or by both?
I think maybe both. I mean, I was very, very little.
That's the sad thing, right? We would expect to hear it from him, but then she gets so lost in that. Do you know, was she also using, drinking?
No, she was not.
Wow. Did she come from an alcoholic home?
No, she had a wonderful parents. I had great grandparents.
Be interesting to
From her
know,
side.
kind
Where
of that, how she got caught up and can just happen. But I mean, it suggests a story there too. So
Right.
you said, being interviewed, my question is, golly, how old were you being interviewed about the secret that you have to hold?
4 or 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you remember, did you have siblings? I didn't.
No, I'm an only child,
Okay.
thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of pressure put on you at such a young age, right?
Yeah, a lot of, at first I didn't know it was secrets because I remember a time like in elementary school where I told a friend, like, I think my mom and dad are going to get a divorce. Does your daddy hit your mom and stomp on her and beat her, And my friend was like, no. That doesn't happen in my house. And
Wow.
I think something in maybe first grade or so, that was like, this is not
Something I'll talk
normal.
about.
Yeah, and because to me, it was normal for your dad to
Sure.
do all that.
That saying right there can be hard for people to understand, right? Somebody who didn't experience that goes, how in the world can that be normal? Well, when that's all you know, you have nothing to compare it to, right? So,
Right.
And I don't think you think about it until you ask a question like that, and they're like, "No, that's not my normal."
Right.
yeah.
But again, if it's all I know, it's not abnormal.
Yeah.
Now, at that young age, were you also a victim of the abuse?
Not necessarily physically.
Physically, yeah.
Definitely verbally.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot verbally.
And you may have been too young to know this, but I just thought about it when you said when he would get paid, he would go out. Were there financial issues? Were bills getting paid? Was power staying on?
Yeah, power would stay on. From what I sensed at, 5,
Yeah.
or, young age, there were financial issues, but I know my mom's parents, I think, helped out.
Okay.
I don't think they fully knew about
The
the
extent of it.
addiction. But yeah, I mean, I know I was taken care of at that point. As far as how deep the financial stress was, I don't
Right.
really know.
Taken care of, maybe provided for,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did your mom work or did your dad
No.
not
stay at
allow
home.
that?
Yeah.
So he was very controlling in
Absolutely.
all ways. How old were you when some of that abuse physically even turned on you? Did that occur?
Yes, probably 9 or 10. Yeah. And it was when I really knew this is not right. I'm going to step up for mom. And I started back talking to him, because I loved my father.
Yeah.
And I still do. And at that point, it was, but I love both my parents. And you can't continue to hit her and kick her and all, the things. So. Yeah.
It became a problem when you spoke up.
Yeah, yeah. And then he would get very angry at me, and my mom was like, well,
Well, he was used to her not fighting back. And I almost don't think it occurs to them until it happens that anyone's going to oppose them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that the reaction is even more volatile because it's...
Yeah.
Well, and then now your mom is probably fighting too. I don't know how, if this is too vague, I apologize, but because we have such a great opportunity to look at this, you said you loved both parents, and I get that, right? As kids, we love the idea of our parents, which, that there's some reality to that. I'm not completely discounting that. But certainly the love you felt for your mom had to be different in even the way it felt than the way you loved your dad. Is there some truth to that? Like, how would you describe?
I think so. At a later age, probably. I think when things changed, and like my love for him started to change, was when my mom was thinking about divorce, and we went to a Church of Christ church in a very small town, and she went to them, some of the pastors and whoever, and was talking to them about, I need to leave him, how am I going to do this? And I was with her in the meeting, and they told her, you'd be better off to kill him than to divorce him. God won't forgive you, if you divorce him.
Who gave her that advice?
Some of the leaders and pastors at the church.
Okay, head scratcher.
And I was sitting there.
And you were sitting there. How old were you?
Probably 7-ish, 6,
Man,
7.
I'm just awed at how much you were exposed to, you know, just mentally at such a young age, right? I mean, taking on really horrible secrets in the home, and now you're sitting in front of
the church,
religious leaders who you're supposed to be getting peace and love from, and you'd be better off killing him than leaving him, and so a lot of brokenness, right? Which shouldn't surprise us. It's a broken world. So,
well, also, I think, I know that whenever you have your children around any of that, they're already not shielded and you're fully aware of it. I think that comes in with why we say, well, they grew up a lot faster than they should have already. I would dare say that even with everything that you had seen and had these conversations with your mom, at 7, you would have been like, what do you mean I can't be in there? Yeah. I'm in everything. I need to know. Yeah. Because the children I've seen, including my own at times, acted like more the adult than I was able to, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because I'd already exposed them to so much. And I talked to them like they were adults.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you have to grow up fast. So did you have a response to that feedback? You said you were there. Like what?
I don't recall anything because I was pretty quiet and shy and all that.
But seeds.
Yeah. Another significant moment shortly after that, I remember my parents arguing in the living room, like late at night. I was in bed and I got up and I would kind of hide in the hallway and watch them. And my mom pulled out my dad's firearm and pointed it at him across the living room. Yeah. And I ran in and jumped in front of him. And so, I mean, there's a gun in front of me. Yeah. And so, that was shortly after the whole church conversation.
Oh, gosh, that speaks so loudly. I'm trying to wrap my head around it because this is not, and I know some people may take offense to this. Please do not. I don't mean that there are, levels of or degrees of, everybody's trauma is trauma, but we're not talking about, this is profound abuse that you were witness to from a young age. I mean, when you talk about your mom vomiting blood, things like that, we're not talking about pushing and shoving.
Not at all.
This is serious stuff. And so for that same little girl who loved her mom and felt the need to defend her mom to now jump in front of a gun to defend the abuser, the dad, I can't imagine what's going on in your head as you wrestle these things out.
Honestly, don't even know.
Yeah. I don't know that there's...
At so young, I don't think I processed.
That's right.
No, I think you reacted quickly.
Yeah. I didn't want either of them hurt.
Sure.
I loved them,
Yeah.
And it's just trauma.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm taking it they end up divorcing? Did that?
Yes.
How old?
I was about 10 or 11.
Okay.
They did because, like I said, I was really starting to stand up to my dad and things were progressively getting worse, especially with him and his addiction. I think I had found cocaine at one point
already
in the house. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't use it?
No.
You just used, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
And I think I brought it to my mom or something and said, what is this? And of course that started a whole nother fight.
Do you feel like part of the reason she may have been, like when you said I was starting to speak up more, which is going to create more issues, that might have actually been what gave her the courage, whatever, to move forward?
Yeah, I think so.
Like now it's not about just me. Yeah. This is going to end badly.
I think there was a point that I was like, and he did eventually when I was probably 9-ish. He went to rehab for a very short time, and he had done that multiple times. And I remember one time saying to my mom, it's going to take 2 weeks, and he'll be back on drugs. And it literally did.
Yeah.
Like I spoke right.
Did he ever stay the whole course of treatment, or was he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably leaving early and doing okay.
Yeah.
Both of your parents still alive? Okay. Dad's still in addiction, or?
Yes.
Is he? Okay.
Yes.
So we need to be praying for him. Mom, where's mom now?
So she's remarried.
Happily, hopefully.
Happily married, as far as I can understand. I think that my dad did a toll on her. It was a lot of mental stuff. As an adult, I sought counseling and invited her to come because my counselor said, she needs something. And she always refused it. And even once they divorced, there was a lot of mental things that I felt with her that, wounded me further.
Well, I'm sure there's some PTSD issues going on there. So when did... You said you found cocaine, it was your dad's. I heard it as you found it. When did you actually find drugs and alcohol to be
that they were
something, an escape for you? When did you?
Probably 13.
13. Yeah. So how did that come about?
Just friends, peer pressure, riding around in a car with somebody and someone had some and, I started smoking it. So, yeah.
Were you drawn to, I don't know how to ask this, so, but for lack of a better, were you drawn to a more dysfunctional crowd? I mean, did that tend to be your people or were they grounded?
I had 2 different friend groups. So I was a cheerleader and I hung out with, a solid crowd. And then there was another crowd that did a lot. Yeah. More than I ever even probably did. And so there was definitely like 2 lifestyles to me.
Makes sense because I can't imagine there weren't 2 of you in there, right? I mean, so not clinically, but
when they divorced, did you stay with your mom?
Yes. So we moved in with my grandparents.
Okay.
And there was a custody battle, and I remember being interviewed. Who would you like to spend time with? And whatever. I obviously said my mother, and at that point I was pretty scared of my father.
Right.
And I think they set up like supervised visitation and he only came to 1 and I was scared. So I locked myself in the bathroom, but I heard him like throwing dining room tables across the room and just like tore up the part of the house and then left. And I never saw him again. I mean, I have since, but it was like 20 years later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So at around 13, you find drugs and alcohol. At this point, you had already known that was part of your dad's history because you found it, right? Was there any reluctance to step into it? Was there any part of you that said, I'm not going the route my dad did, or was that?
Yeah, it was the alcohol that scared me.
Yeah.
And I didn't try alcohol until 17 or 18, probably.
So right now that was just
weed. It was a lot of weed. It ended up being like and all day long, skip school, all the things. But alcohol, I did drink and, more than I should have, but I was a little leery of that because I knew what it did to him.
Okay.
Apprehensive, yeah.
Yeah, right. There's usually a piece of that. So, I mentioned, because this is really interesting because of that dynamic with your dad. And both of you mentioned, and I really appreciated the honesty of this, about how relationship addiction parallels this. So just like you kind of fended off of alcohol for a while because that's the one you associated with your dad, I can't imagine, and again, could be totally wrong, but that there wasn't some apprehension about men in general, but at some point that flips too. When did and maybe seeking for the right one. I don't know. Tell me how that unfolds.
So I now know I was trying to fill a hole in my heart. And probably at the age of 15 until 28, I was, really after trying to fill that hole. And
fix me.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Seeking love, because I, even from my mom, didn't feel that after they were divorced. And so it was, what man can fix me?
Right.
What man, so it was, it was a lot of looking for that.
Did any of those relationships look like your mom and dad's? Like, were the men abusive?
There was one that that threw me on the couch one time, and I ended it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So, in a really happy ending way that you ended it, right? Because just as likely the guess there would have been that would have been your longest relationship because you were familiar with it.
Yeah.
So what clicked for you? Because that's a really positive choice for somebody coming out of that background to say, no, this goes no further.
Yeah. So that one, I think it was like my first real, serious type relationship. And I think I was 15 and, which that was just 5 years later. And I was alone with him, and we, I said something he didn't like, and so that's what triggered him to. And I mean, there's probably verbal abuse there too.
Right.
I just overlooked it, and but when he got physical, I was like, okay, no, we can't do this.
Well, and that I feel like that's that part of you that started speaking up and fighting back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you didn't, so she didn't, so you will.
Yeah.
And like, no. I may do a lot, but I'm not doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's such a profound way that sex gets confused with love, right? And especially at that age. I mean, even without your background, just the natural bodily changes that are happening, the hormones are going crazy, and kids don't know how to interpret that, right? And then you add to that this trauma background, and boy, what a recipe. So you were talking a little bit about how relationship and alcohol and drugs were kind of intertwined. One led you back to the other. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, I think there was the friend group, that I did the drugs with, and, some that I drank with. And then also the pressure from boyfriends, that pulled me deeper into that.
Yeah.
Well, if we're looking for approval and we're looking for acceptance and I want you to love me and I'm really honestly scared of being alone, I'm ultimately going to do whatever you've asked me to do because at least I have somebody.
Yeah. Anything to look cool or feel loved or, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
But was it serial relationships, just like a lot of short-term relationships?
Absolutely.
So there was no... So talk about that a little bit because that's what I was wondering, because when you see that happening, I mean, sometimes, I think it might have been on this show, I'm trying to remember, somebody said something about how the longevity of the relationship spiked fear in them. Yeah. Just the longevity of it would bring up apprehension, that kind of that fear of waiting for the other shoe.
Fear of commitment. Yeah, I absolutely can relate to that at a young age.
Yeah. Because you couldn't trust it, right?
Absolutely. I didn't trust anyone, but I had to have that relationship.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't trust anyone fully. I mean, you also had two different worlds. I don't think even that you knew which one you were or if it was somewhere in between.
Right.
You knew how to adapt to whatever situation you were in because that was what was going to help right then.
Yeah.
Well, and I like the way you put that you had to have it anyway, because I think inherently as people we're created for relationship. Yes. But yet your greatest fears also rooted from seeing a horrible one, right? So on one hand, I'm drawn to it naturally, and then that becomes dysfunctional because my greatest fears lie there too. Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
So how far down the alcohol road do you go?
I mean, not that deep. I mean, I did get arrested for underage drinking. But again, that was just with friends, partying, that kind of stuff.
High school stuff? Where did that happen?
I was out of high school by then, yeah.
So in your early 20s?
I think I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I never felt addicted to alcohol, but the smell of it, the taste of it even would kind of trigger some stuff because I remember my dad always smelled like alcohol.
Did you ever have withdrawals?
No.
Never had withdrawals. Okay.
The alcohol was more of an occasional thing for me. The weed was
all day,
daily.
every day. Yeah. I have to have it.
Yeah.
And then
that was your medication.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to take a moment to recognize a major podcast sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by America's Thrift Stores, your go-to option for decluttering and giving back. If you have a closet bursting at the seams or a garage that's seen better days, we've got the perfect solution for you.
That's right. America's Thrift Stores makes it easy to clear out the clutter and make a positive impact in your community. Whether you're cleaning out your wardrobe, downsizing your living space, or just looking to give back, America's Thrift Stores has you covered.
And here's the best part. You've got options. Schedule a hassle-free home pickup, drop off your items at one of their convenient donation sites, or swing by an America's Thrift Store to donate in person. No matter which way you choose, you're making a difference.
Absolutely. Every donation you make to America's Thrift Stores directly benefits charities in your area, such as the Home of Grace and other fantastic organizations dedicated to helping those in need.
For example, donations made to America's Thrift Stores in southern Mississippi help the Home of Grace provide support and assistance to individuals facing drug and alcohol addiction. Your contributions make a real impact on their mission to provide freedom from addiction through Christ-centered recovery. So not only are you decluttering your life, but you're also helping build a stronger and more supportive community.
It's truly a double blessing. So what are you waiting for? Clean out that closet, clear out that garage, and make a positive difference in your community by donating to America's Thrift Stores.
Visit America's Thrift Stores online to schedule a home pickup, locate a donation site near you, or get directions to one of their store locations.
America's Thrift Stores, where giving back never goes out of style.
And you also mentioned kind of off camera that pain pills got mixed in there somewhere. How did that come into the picture?
That was in high school. Like I said, I had 2 friend groups. So one friend group wanted to do the pills and get high or whatever. And there was about 2 or 3 times that I tried, and I did not like the way it made me feel. And so,
thank goodness.
Yes. And so then I would buy the pain pills from them and then resell them to the other friend group.
Okay.
It's like,
yeah,
making a lot of money.
But that you could buy your pot.
Yeah. So I still looked cool because I was still getting the pain pills, but,
yeah,
I wasn't taking them.
So consequence-wise, what was the thing that kind of, because thus far you're dabbling in it, not having withdrawals, get arrested, that's a pretty serious consequence, but we're still not done. You're 12 years into this thing. Yeah. What's the wake-up call for you?
Jesus.
Yeah?
Yeah, it really was. As far as the men, as far as marijuana went, the very last time I knew I would ever smoke it, I knew it was laced with something. And it terrified me. So I, you get a little relaxed when you do that, and I did not. I got super high strung,
scary,
heart racing.
You knew something
didn't sleep
was wrong
the entire night, and I didn't know. Where did I get this from? Where did this come from? And I never touched it again.
Did that part of your addiction ever put you in dangerous situations? Was it always within your friend group that you got it? Did you ever venture out into places you shouldn't have gone? I'm just curious. Was there any of that?
I mean, even with the friend group, I certainly
went with them places where you shouldn't have. Yeah.
Positions or thank the Lord I was never raped or anything.
Well, I was going to say, for a woman, the stakes are raised, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, my mom had to work a lot once, they divorced, and I mean, letting men into my home without an adult.
Yeah.
Pretty scary. I mean, multiple men, but I was safe. Thank God.
Yeah. Amen.
Did your mom ever intervene or say, hey, are you okay? Anything like that? She didn't.
Was very naive to it. And even to this day, I think I've shared with her that I've smoked marijuana before. And she's like,
you did what?
What? I thought you were perfect.
Interesting, because for a woman who probably intentionally blinded herself to much of your dad's disorder, other than when it was impossible to deny, that makes sense. She saw what she wanted to see. So very curious to know how kind of Jesus comes in and saves the day on that. But before we do, we're going to kind of get a parallel kind of beginning of the story with Jon as well. So Jon, you also raised in a addicted home. And what did that look like?
Yeah. So for me, the story really starts, my dad was in the Army, and so he got ordered over to Germany. And so I was probably 5 at that time. I have 4 other siblings, so there's 5 of us all together, and my mom was pregnant with my baby sister. So my dad went ahead of us, 7 months ahead of the rest of us. And my mom has told me this, that, up until that point, they've been married a good number of years, good Christian family. My dad wasn't drinking, but those 7 months changed him.
Being away.
He's drinking with the guys. The family's not around. So 7 months later, when we joined him, she said she showed up to a totally different man. She had no idea who he was, the way he was acting. His drinking led him to get dishonorably discharged.
Wow. So
from the Army while we were over there.
It went quickly for him.
It went quickly. It went south really fast.
Did you ever mention if he drank at all prior to then, or maybe not in excess? Because that sounds like a lit mat, like...
Right.
When he let loose, it was already waiting to go.
Yes. And he has a lot from his childhood that he went through that I think he tried to avoid.
Yeah.
And then, again, being with the guys and being exposed to it, and then just kind of opening that box.
Yeah.
It was wide open for him. So, very, very quickly, alcohol got him in trouble while he was over there, while we joined him. Here we were a family, a family of 7. We were there for almost 3 years before he got dishonorably discharged. So we get shipped back to the States. We now have no money, nowhere to live. How
old are you?
I was 6.5 probably at the time.
Well, I did want to ask, what did those 3 years y'all were over there look like with... you also, as a young child, that's a dad that you didn't know. What did that, do you remember that?
So what's wild is I don't really remember anything before that. My dad and his drinking, the alcoholism, the abuse, that's all I grew up knowing. I don't know those few good years before that.
Where are you in the age group?
So when we were in Germany, I was 5 and 6. I went to kindergarten and first grade over there. So right around 5, 6 years old.
How many are older than you?
Yeah. So I have 2. I have an older brother and an older sister, and then a younger brother and a younger sister. So I'm right in the middle.
So your older sister and older brother would have had different memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So y'all would have processed that completely
And
different.
the younger ones, absolutely nothing.
Only knew what you knew, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So coming back to the States, moving in with grandparents, just an awkward situation. My dad had a lot of trouble keeping a job, holding a job. My mom says that his drinking just intensified tremendously when we got back here.
Is this your mom's side grandparents or dad's side?
My mom's side.
Mom's side. So dad's side grandparents are also problematic?
Dad's side, we don't know much about at all. Okay. My dad was actually adopted twice as a kid. What I do know, the little bit that I know, his biological dad died in prison. We don't know what he went for. We don't know how he died. But I do know that my dad in his childhood, being adopted twice, went through a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
One of his adopted dads, I later found out, was very abusive towards him.
Yeah.
So, probably a good time to say this, because I want to just to our listeners, because both Jon and Hayley, indicative of the love in their hearts, were concerned about talking about this part of their story, because it entails all of the baggage of home life that for a child sits directly on the parent's actions. That is true. I want to stress how I said that again, though. It sits directly on the parent's actions. The parent is just like you and I. It's a broken person.
Yeah.
And so therefore their actions are broken. I want to remind everybody that we don't do this to demonize the parent. Are we going to hear about things that are going to make you mad? Are we going to hear about things that make you mad at them? Yes. But in the end, they, like us, are slaves in their brokenness to the flesh. And until we come to that place where we're broken before the Lord, that's all we know. So I simply just want to say that if this motivates you, whenever you hear these stories, if you're moved to do anything, I would encourage you to use your anger as a trigger to pray for these people. Yeah. It's easy to throw stones, But we're all broken and we're all capable of the worst of things. And that's the truth of it. And so I find myself sometimes having to keep myself in check, right? That's profound abuse that you saw. And so, the dad in me wants to rise up until the voice of God in me goes, that could have been you, sit back down.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to pray for these people. And I know you guys are praying for your parents. And I know this is difficult and very brave of you got to talk about this. And the reason they're willing to is because if you are out there and need to hear this, then you need to know this is not the end of your story. Right. So, I just wanted to pause on that and
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can say for me, I love my father.
Amen.
I have forgiven him. It is all under the blood.
Yeah.
But it is important for people to know that part of your journey because it explains a lot.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
now, is your dad still caught in his addiction?
He is.
He is. Okay.
Yes.
So both of your parents. All right.
Yeah. So we moved back to the States. We live with my grandparents. Dad can't really hold a job. His drinking is really bad. There's just a lot of abuse from that point forward. We did eventually move out of the grandparents' house, but money was always tight. Growing up, we were very poor. And so it was a struggle. My mom would work 2 and 3 jobs. My dad would work, but he had his own stuff he was doing. Yeah.
I mean,
he would come and go as he pleased. And
like for extended periods of time?
Just throughout random hours.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It wasn't typically gone for days, but we just never knew when he was going to come home.
But primarily your mother worked the jobs and it was understood that she was actually paying the bills.
Yes.
He worked for his habit.
Yes.
And that was it.
And it was usually as kids, it was like walking around on eggshells because you never knew when he was going to come. But when he did, it was going to be
Was
on.
that towards y'all as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad would just find the littlest things that would trigger him to set him off. And so a lot of times he'd wake us up out of the bed 2 or 3 in the morning for something that he
Somebody
found
left
around
a
the
plate
house.
out, but it might have been his.
Yes, the littlest thing. And this is the part of my dad being in the military that his time in the military was good, but it did mess with him. He would discipline us in military ways. He would line all of us kids up and make us do push-ups or down-ups and want us to say who did this. Well, we started protecting each other, so we would all just take the punishment together.
Yeah.
But
what an amazing response, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't, when I say abuse, it wasn't spankings, it was beatings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the point, going to school with marks on you and having to make excuses on the regular of where those marks came from. Because at the end of the day, I'm not really protecting him, I'm protecting my mom.
Right.
Is the way my mind was. She's working hard, she's trying to do her best. I saw her abused a lot. He was very physical with my mom and then us 3 older ones. But as time went on, my oldest brother, I would say when I was probably 13, he was taken out of the home and put in a boys' home. He got in a lot of trouble, especially a lot of fighting.
He was angry.
Very angry. Very angry.
Why the older 3? What do you think that is?
It was the pecking order. It's just the way it went, because once he was removed, then it was my older sister. When she was a junior in high school, so she had been 17, I was around 14, she ran away. She ran away with someone from her work, and we lived in Michigan. They ran away to Las Vegas, and we did not hear from her for almost 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
So we had no idea if she was alive or not. She just disappeared one day. Had planned it ahead of time.
Sure.
Did any of y'all have an idea she was going to do that?
Not a clue. Not a clue.
Were you all close?
Not super close, but when you're going through that kind of stuff together, that brings
kind
you
of a trauma bond of sorts. Yeah.
Yes. I will say this: the abuse. I experienced a lot of physical abuse. It was a physical abuse altogether, a lot of mental, a lot of emotional. I was never sexually abused, but I did witness sexual abuse on 2 occasions. So there was just abuse across the board.
The way across.
And
it's just so all encompassing, right? I mean, I often describe addiction as the closest thing to possession that we see outside of Hollywood, right? Well, it's a different talk, but anyway, because I'm sure that happens. But I mean, it is a form of possession, and so you saw the worst of what this brought out in your dad. So I can't imagine. Do your parents stay together? Does your mom just ride the ship.
They do not. After my two oldest left and then I was there, things really intensified with my dad and I in a physical sense. I mean, we would get into fist fights.
You were fighting back.
Oh yeah. Cause I was like, I know I'm going to lose, but I'm going to get a couple licks in, I'm kind of tired of dealing with this.
Was it still in protective mode, or were you just now angry? I mean, protective of the others, or were you just now angry? It was very much the protective, because I saw that it just kept working its way down. Yeah. And I knew that eventually,
if you were gone, who was going to protect them?
Yes. And I did start running away from home for a day or two here and there. Because I was at this weird place. Like, I don't want to put up with this anymore, but I knew that I couldn't just up and leave entirely, because then the next two would get it. And so my mom did say later she realized that she was trying to keep our family together, but was losing them one at a time.
Yes, yeah.
So she eventually divorced him.
That must have been an awful feeling for her.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever have like a conversation before she divorced him? Like, did she sit down, like, any words about what was actually going on after your sister was gone? Like,
yeah, there were times where she would bring it up to him, even that she was considering a divorce. And then my dad would, he'd leave for a week or two. He'd go stay with a family member or a friend. He would come back, say that he was clean.
Changed for a day.
I love you. I'm sorry. I'll fix it.
It was all the right things, the perfect things to say. And of course, she wanted to believe that.
Right. She wanted to, but y'all knew better.
We knew better. We knew it's like, Mom, it's like clockwork. Give it 2 weeks and we're going to be right back to the same old stuff.
Yeah.
And so I do think she tried several times to kind of put her foot down. And then, eventually she just said, okay, enough is enough. I'm losing my kids.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you both have expressed this sentiment of the kids telling the mom, in some way, shape, or form, what in the world are you doing staying here, right? And the oddity of that is that the mom is thinking she's doing it for the family, while the kids are saying,
what are you doing?
Well, yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, I'm not speaking to the rightness or wrongness of either of those positions, but it's just an interesting tension, right?
Right.
I think that it goes back to, we forced them to play a role that they weren't born to play.
Yeah.
Like, the older sibling is the one in an addiction. The younger sibling usually takes on the role of the older, telling everybody what to do and being the overachiever. Like, it's just your roles flip-flop.
Yeah.
And the kids do start to speak up. Like, I'm no longer in a position of a child because I have seen all the things.
Right.
And so, no, I get to have a voice in this.
Right.
And I'm going to. It's not disrespectful. It's, we need you to help.
So I'm assuming, like your wife's, when they divorced, the kids went with your mom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad left the state, and we stayed. There was 3 of us left. The 3 of us stayed with my mom.
Yeah. And was that the last you saw of him for quite some time, or was there?
It was almost 20 years for me as well.
Yeah.
About 18 years before I saw him again.
What about your older brother, the one that went to the boys' home?
He did end up came back to the area where I was at. And actually, that's kind of where my addiction started. I played sports. And so for me, I actually didn't get involved in any type of addiction early on. I was very focused, like, okay, this is my meal ticket.
I've got to make good grades. I got to do sports. I've got to.
This was going to get me through college. Like, I was very focused on that. But my freshman year of high school, I tore my ACL in my left knee, and that did at that time. And my brother moved back to the area. He actually rented a house in the area, which was a party house. And my dad was still around before they divorced.
So was your brother already caught up in that lifestyle?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a very weird, I don't know how to, it seems weird talking about it, but it was a weird relationship at that point with my dad, because I hated him.
Yeah.
But he would take me to my brother's house and let me party. And it was like, whatever happened, that house stayed in that house. Mm-hmm. So in that moment, I felt like I could be an adult. There were girls there, and there was weed, and there was drinking, and I could do all that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't tell anybody when I came back home.
Right.
So I did some of it. I didn't get crazy, but I finally stepped into it because I was injured and just was wondering, man, is this sports thing going to work out?
If it's not, what's my next plan?
Right. Right.
Just because it's so often associated with that, do pain pills come in as a result of this injury?
They actually didn't. I mean, I did take them, but there wasn't an addiction with that there.
So what were you getting into at this point? Just alcohol and women? That price started for you?
Right. A little bit of weed, but it was really the alcohol, especially liquor.
Okay.
But it was definitely girls at that point as well, because it was just that need to be loved, to feel accepted. I can remember all growing up, my dad not coming to a single game, not coming to any function, and like, how badly I just wanted you to want to be there, want to be in my life. You know, I'd see these other kids with all their parents and signs and jerseys. And it was that feeling of wanted to be accepted and loved.
Well, and your mama probably couldn't go to all that. She had 3 of y'all at home, and she worked all the jobs.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you know, and for both of you, and I can relate, you know, this idea of wanting to be loved kind of thing. Not that you didn't love me, Mom. I got you. But she's our biggest fan.
She really is our biggest fan. We love her. Nancy's great.
No, this idea of wanting to be loved when you come from such dysfunction, such brokenness, is you want this thing that you don't even know how to define. So we settle for whatever comes across the table that resembles it or doesn't resemble it. It's just the closest thing we may know to it. It's not love at all, but we're willing to call it that, right? And play adult, play house for a while, right? So
I was going to say, and that's why it is an addiction. It is a quick fix.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In this moment, I just want somebody to love me. That person probably isn't going to be there tomorrow.
No, absolutely.
They probably really don't care about me.
Right now, it is.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this. One of the affirmations that my women clients, that one of the ones they can choose from that is very freeing to say out loud because it's a truth, is that I forgive myself for accepting sex when I really just wanted love.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it small phrase, but it encompasses a whole lot.
Yeah.
Well, it's another way that the devil tricks us into accepting fool's gold when God's trying to give us the real thing, right?
Yeah.
He's got the real thing waiting for us, and we're just taking the surface junk.
Yep.
Yeah. And we don't even know it.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're just beginning down the rabbit hole then. Yeah,
right around 16. My mom divorces my dad, then he leaves. And it was weird. I got really probably more bitter then, you know, because
At who?
At my mom.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
We always get,
really
isn't it weird? You get
one
mad
that
at the one that
stays.
stays.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just, sadly.
Well, I think part of that comes with, I almost feel like it differentiates between why didn't you do something sooner, but also that is now the safest person to be angry at because they've been consistent and they stayed.
Right.
You've already shown me that you're going to stay. And I don't know where else to go with all of this because I can't take it out on him because he's gone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my goal, you know, I did end up playing sports at the end, but my knee was never the same. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll go in the Army. That'll, you know, at least I can do something that way.
Interesting.
I was
That's
thinking
your
that.
dad's path.
I know.
So, yeah.
I know. And I struggled with that, but it just, because we didn't have the money, I thought this is the only way I'm going to. And
part of you had to think, I'm nothing like him anyway.
Yes. And even for my older brother, I think we both have had times where we struggle with that. Like we don't want anything to be like him at all, but then we see things that looks like we're looking in the mirror and you almost hate that. Yeah. You know?
Well, thank God for your ability to see it though.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It'd be worse if you didn't see it.
Right. So I thought that was the plan. But I failed my physical because of my knee. Oh. And so really, I think that's where then I just said, who cares?
What else?
Fell out.
Yeah.
Can't do sports. Now I can't even go into the Army. So what am I supposed to do?
And I saw my older brother following my dad's path. And so it was like, this is just who we are. We drink and we're angry and we're violent and we're prideful. So I mean, I did go to college, but for me, that's where the addiction really kicked in. And it was more like I had a roommate who was a DJ at a club. Yeah. So it was a lot of going to clubs and bars, you know, helping him out, but you had access to all that stuff too. You know, again, a lot of women. I actually, during that time, I had a lady that lived across the hall from me, and we've openly shared this. She's twice my age, and we'd start to hang out. She'd go to the clubs with us, and she was open to cocaine. She had it readily available, so we had a mutual agreement. Yeah. You know, I got all the coke I wanted in exchange. Yeah. And so that lasted for a year and a half, almost 2 years. Yeah. But it did scare me. Yeah. Yeah. And eventually, I knew that wasn't going anywhere. Right. You know, it was just a convenience thing. But when I did get into a semi-serious relationship, I knew I had to just move away from that entirely. So, but it was a similar thing of unhealthy relationship after unhealthy.
And I doubt very, very much room in between them.
No.
Because you can't stay single because then you're stuck with you.
Right.
But very much serving the purpose of a drug and alcohol. It's just giving you temporary relief, So, okay. Interesting that occurs. So has cocaine become the big one in your life?
During that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once I moved away, I knew that if I moved away from her and it wasn't free, I was less likely to do it. So it's always been, alcohol's been the main thing.
Okay.
And even after that, it was that next relationship. We both drank quite a bit.
Alcohol was your constant, consistent.
Yes. Which is ran in my family. That has been the...
Yeah.
Did you ever have a sober mate back in those days?
No, I don't think so.
So, because you're fishing from the same pool you're swimming in. So, okay.
Y'all would have nothing in common.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And then, graduating college around that time, it was living a double life of like, okay, I've got a decent job from 9 to 5. I can behave myself, but at nights and on the weekends, I'm just going to let loose.
Yeah.
And almost justifying that to say, well, I'm better than my dad. At least I got my crap together.
Yeah.
Right.
But it isn't any better.
No. And
man, such a great point, because I've said this before that, that idea of functional addict.
Yeah.
Boy, that's almost more dangerous than what happened to you. I love how you described your story, and we're about to hear them, assuming that the consequences were big and heavy and quick, so they got you out of it quick, right? Whereas this idea of functional addict, when you really break it down, there's very little function. There's just enough to say I'm functional, but it tends to drag it on and on and on and on, because we're buying, something minute like, well, I haven't lost my license yet, right? I might be on my 5th job, my 3rd wife, my kids aren't talking about, I haven't lost my license yet. I'm a functional, right?
Right.
So,
I still pay my bills.
Yeah. But to get back to your story, you do say that the consequences come quickly and heavily. So
so that relationship I was in, it wasn't healthy.
Sure.
And so everything happened really fast. I lost the job that I was at, which it was a stable job. That relationship ended. I got arrested. The short version is I was drunk. There was a misunderstanding, but it was a trespassing charge that later got dropped, but it was due to both of us being drunk and foolish. And I just knew at that point it was time to end that. At the same time, Hurricane Ivan hit down here, and I had a friend in Pensacola, a high school friend that lived there, and was like, hey, I need some work done in my house. So I knew that my life was just a mess then. And the plan was come for 2 weeks, fix their house, and then go back to Michigan. And I got down here and just said, okay, you know what? Why not? Why not just move? I got nothing for me in Michigan, really.
Consciously thinking about it as a restart.
Yes. And if it doesn't work, I'll go back. But, there's really no reason to stay. So I did. I went back to Michigan only to grab my things, load my car, and move down and get a fresh start. And it was geographically a change.
Right.
But nothing had changed in me.
You were still broken and seeking the same exact things.
Yes. So knowing just that one person who I was now living with, I was going to Pensacola Beach regularly partying, and I had only been here 2 months, and had a girl follow me back to the house, and someone had called in. I don't even remember the drive, but I was swerving pretty bad, I guess, and someone called me in, and I got a DUI. It was twice the legal limit. And so quickly, what I thought was going to be a fresh start was just the same old thing. And I realized I am becoming just like my dad.
Let me ask you something, because that's interesting. So in thinking of, hey, I need a fresh start, was part of that knowing that you needed to step away from alcohol, or was that not part of the plan? You just needed a fresh start. You could just bring this somewhere else and do other things differently.
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't ready to step away from alcohol. You just knew you needed a fresh start.
Right.
Just hadn't connected those dots yet. I got you.
It was the beach, So I was like, what a great place to start over. But
it's definitely miles from Michigan.
Right. The cold.
Yeah. I'm still interested. I did want to ask before we go too far, because I know that you said after about 3 years, your sister, y'all realized she was alive. Did she stay? Did y'all get in touch? Like, do y'all
She
talk?
actually got married out there, and
Okay.
her husband eventually contacted our family and was like, hey,
She's alive?
she's alive, which was, such an answer to prayer.
Yeah. I would just be
Yeah.
terrified.
And she's obviously went through some things in her life, but she's back in Michigan. She lives up in that area. And,
Okay.
but yeah,
Okay.
it was, especially on my mom, it was a lot of heaviness wondering that, like,
Just not knowing.
what happened to her.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Okay.
Now, are some of your siblings still caught in addiction themselves?
My oldest brother,
Is.
I talked to him before this, and he said it's fine to share. He has been an alcoholic for probably almost 30 years now and still struggles.
Well, so that's interesting. God bless him for giving you permission to share that. Yeah. So by giving you permission, is he in the process of, does he recognize it's a problem, want help, or is he?
He recently did. He actually about 5 months ago had a quadruple bypass surgery. And I think got his attention.
Okay.
And of course, we and some others met with him and try to basically have an intervention and say, hey, we love you and want to help, get you help. Offered home of grace to him. Okay. And he was like, I think I can handle it. And for about a month and a half, he stopped, but he's, drinking again. And he's at least openly saying, I'm an alcoholic, but I think I have a handle on it at the same time. So, and I think for him, it's one of those things you just say, like, this is just who we are.
Yeah.
Right.
He saw it in my dad. We heard the stories of my granddad. And
This is the way it's been. This is the way it's always going to be. But it's not like that for you.
It doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. One of the things, if he's listening, and I'm sure
I feel like he's going to listen.
Yeah, I would just say, my friend, I appreciate your courage and letting your brother talk about it. The reality is, and you know this in your heart of hearts, I know you do. You can't do it alone. You know that. Just reach out. What you're looking for is there. I promise you, it's waiting for you. But it does take reaching out, right?
Yep.
It's that simple. We have to surrender.
We can't do it in our own will.
That's right.
That's never going to work.
The Bible talks about Satan roaming the world like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. And the way I always try and say this is that, how does a lion hunt? Well, it chases the pack until one falls away from the pack, and then it attacks the isolated one. So that's such a lie from the devil. When you hear yourself saying, I can do this alone, you're being lied to. I don't care what it is. It could be even something good, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You surround yourself. We're built for fellowship, and that's where we're going to succeed.
Yes.
So how do you eventually come to this place where...
Yeah. So after that DUI, I lost my license for a year. I had to sell my car. I know one person in that area. It was definitely the Lord, because where I was living, there was a church directly across the street. And I just had to come to Jesus without knowing that's what it was at the time. But I had to just have this real talk with myself of like, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. And, I wasn't raised in church. My mom and grandma would take me to do VBS in the summer, but didn't know God, just knew about him.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of me that was angry at God because of everything that happened. I blamed him. So of course I didn't. But in that moment I said, I've never really given God a shot.
I just
blamed him. But now I have no excuse. It's really within walking distance.
And I no longer have a car.
Right.
And I can't drive.
Yeah. So I started attending that church and getting involved in their young adults group. And it was several months of me, during the altar time, I was white knuckling it because I knew that all these emotions are stirring up, all these feelings, and I wanted so bad. But, one of the things we're always taught as a kid is like, you don't talk about your feelings, you don't show your emotion, you be a man. And so in that moment, I kept trying to be that. And then eventually, after a couple months, I was like,
how did that break for you?
It was over time. It was just to a point, like I knew that I couldn't keep carrying that weight.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I was told, regardless of how I, was expected to be growing up. I think I saw other people being vulnerable, and it helped me realize that, okay, this is different. This is weird, but I know I need this.
Yeah.
So how and where were you able to do that?
It was at a church service a Sunday morning where I just went up and got prayer, gave my life to the Lord. But then the journey was definitely a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know that he gives us a new heart, but we have to transform our mind. All that stinking thinking we've had for all those years of what we were told is right.
Well, and the belief that this is just the way it's going to be for my whole life.
That's right.
That doesn't just die.
Yeah.
At an altar call, it'd be great if it did. It just doesn't work that way.
Right. So I would say there are two things that helped me in the journey. One was obviously changing the friend group. Even though I was new to Pensacola, I realized the type of people, I had to change that.
Yeah.
So this group of young adults, they've been a little bit weird or quirky. They're eating pizza and drinking Coke while they're watching the football game, but like they're having fun.
Yeah.
They're having a good time. They remember what they're doing.
Yes.
They actually care about me. They're following up to see how I'm doing. They don't just want to party with me. So the friend group dynamic definitely helped me in that way. And then really it was a few men in the church that one thing I struggle with is I saw men in the church, godly men and fathers and husbands that I wanted to be, but it seemed so unattainable. Like I don't know how to get there. I've never had that.
Right.
So it was hard. I wanted it, but I didn't think it was realistic. And these men just took me under their wing and would bring me around their home and their family and truly discipled me.
Do you mean not realistic, that they weren't realistic, or that it wasn't realistic for you?
For me.
You couldn't be that.
Yeah. Great for, like, that's a goal.
Yeah.
But it just didn't seem like, when you look
that
at
could happen for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something so gospel-oriented in that sentence, though, because the reality is, in and of ourselves, it is unrealistic.
It is.
Right? It's only until we allow him to do it that becomes a possibility, because it is outside of our ability.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that. So you had men step into your life, though, and mentor you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that feel like that father void in some ways got filled to a degree?
It did, because they were that to me. They were a tangible person in front of me that I saw them. I saw them as that husband and father and leader in the community, and we would have those real conversations. And then through it, the Lord really started working on my heart to forgive my dad.
Yeah. Let me pause you right there then, because we've gotten you to a place of salvation, and you've introduced kind of the next step. Once we're saved, now the work begins, right?
Yes.
Now he brings us to the spiritual gym, and we got to work out.
Yes.
Let's bounce back here, though. You were right at the place where, Jesus is about to be the hero of the day, as he is. I don't say that lightly.
Yeah. Well, I guess I had two separate occasions. I had, when I was 16, I gave my life to the Lord, but I was sneaking with a friend to go to church, lying to my mom about where I was going, because she had been so hurt by the church.
By the church, you wouldn't have been allowed to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Would she have disallowed it or just been disappointed?
She may have allowed it, but I hid it because and even when I, at youth group, I gave my life to the Lord. I didn't even tell her.
Now, at 16, you were still using, right? And most of your addiction is still ahead of you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was living two lives.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is where the moment where, so I want to, sorry, I don't mean to point, but that's so important, because it's not like the moment we are saved, we suddenly are transported to some fantasy world. We still live in a fallen, broken world, and we are still broken.
Very broken.
But do you believe, and I ask this because sometimes people do believe that was the moment, or sometimes people believe it was just an emotional experience. Do you believe that you really became saved then, and then just like the prodigal son kind of walked away and came back? Or do you believe it was an emotional experience and that wasn't actually where you got saved, but maybe just introduced?
Yeah, I was introduced.
Okay.
I had a God high in that moment, but with living a prodigal lifestyle.
Okay.
Still, and for several years after that even.
We also want to find a way to mention that if everybody waited until we had it all together before we went and asked him for help,
right.
None of us would be sitting here talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that gets, I'm I'm not enough. I'm not going to be able to do this. Let me do this first. Let me go back and bury my family first. You know, all of those things. Like, if I wait until I've got it all together,
It ain't happening.
yeah, no,
I
never
didn't
would have
know or
happened.
understand what Christianity looked like. So
At all.
I figured smoking weed and sleeping
Would
around
be
was
fine.
still just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
It's
be fine.
just
And then I
about
go to
bringing
church.
God into your lifestyle,
Yes.
right? Just
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're invited here.
Yeah.
You can hang out with
Yeah,
us.
come on.
So I like the way so you have this emotional experience,
Yes.
and so interesting. So what happens
and
there?
still, you know, my mother has no idea. And I don't think she ever, like, she still doesn't, that I know of. You know, I don't think I've ever told her that I did that. Snuck
That
to
you were
church.
sneaking to church.
And so she actually went through some major health issues and went into a diabetic coma, which I think caused more mental, you know, stuff with her. And, you know, there was just a lot of trauma there, which led me further down the path,
Yeah.
you know, and deeper into finding something to fulfill the hole.
Sure.
Right.
And, you know, I know that I always felt like I wasn't good enough for her. I wasn't pretty enough. And there was comments from her making me feel that way. And so
That's interesting.
I never had that assurance from anyone.
That I was enough.
Yeah. And so that's why I continued to seek, you know, whatever it was that was missing.
Before we go any further, let's take a minute to address the man or the woman listening to today's episode and wishing for a better life. Or maybe addiction has completely overtaken a family member or a friend.
You are not alone. As you may know, the Jesus Loves Addicts podcast is produced by the Home of Grace, a Christ-centered addiction recovery program in South Mississippi with over 60 years of experience.
The Home of Grace has residential programs ranging from 30 days to 12 months. With 2 separate campuses for men and women, they are fully staffed with caring individuals who want nothing more than to guide you to a life of recovery.
Services include individual and group counseling, marriage and family counseling, classes, workshops, GED, and workforce training, all grounded in biblical principles.
And because of donations from the community, the cost of the program is incredibly affordable.
Thousands of alumni from across the country can tell you there is no other program in the world quite like the Home of Grace.
If you want to start a new path to recovery, don't wait. Speak with an admission specialist today. Visit homeofgrace.org or call 833-55-GRACE to talk with someone.
That's 833-55-GRACE. Call the Home of Grace today. Was she very self-conscious? Was she kind of...
Not really. No,
Where do you think that
Wonder where
came from?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've tried to find out, tried to ask, and, you know, it's never really,
Yeah.
I've never found an answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord we don't need those answers.
right.
They're great if they come, they give us some insight, but they're not the source of our healing. They're
Yeah.
just insight. So,
Absolutely.
okay. So, you invite Jesus into this lifestyle. I love how we do that. And you bring him along for the ride.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he's there anyway. And thank you
Yes.
for that.
Yeah.
So
I, at 17, as soon as I graduated, I was out of the house, moved in with a boy.
Yeah.
And, you know, bounced back and forth around and ended up moving. I'm from North Alabama, so I moved to Birmingham, same patterns.
Yeah.
And then ended up moving to Gulf Shores and, you know, still living the same lifestyle, finding whatever I needed in the moment.
Yeah.
And actually, I ended up dating a worship leader. And, well, he was on the worship team. And he actually invited me to church.
Okay.
I was 28. And I was like, well, this is odd. Like, we're not really a thing, but...
Sure, I'll go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so I started going to the church, and we ended, and I kept going to church. And, you know, the pastor gave the salvation call, and that is when I
what
really
you thought.
had my encounter with the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
what was different?
Honestly, I think it was just me. Like, you're living this crazy lifestyle, nothing, you're still not being fulfilled, so why not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I was by myself.
It wasn't
like I
for
was sat on the back row.
Yeah.
But I did it and I meant it. And shortly after, they started this freedom class, which I got, introduced to inner healing.
Okay.
Which was not fun.
Not at all.
But I started walking through that. And it was father wounds and mother wounds.
Yeah.
And trauma and all of those things.
I love that they offer that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so good. And, then we had a conference at the end, which was amazing for me. Jon and I would not be married without that.
Awesome.
And then once we got married, I met Mama Hug. And that's my spiritual mama.
Oh, Mama, who's that?
And she
mentor
she walked
at
me
the church.
through very deep inner healing. Very, very deep. And so
From a sound biblical foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, so important. I would say to churches out there, don't run from this place. We need you in this fight, because if people don't get it with that sound biblical foundation, they'll get it from an unsound, often well-intentioned but misguided psychological foundation, which misses the deeper mark.
Yeah.
Right. So that's wonderful. And
So I, in talking and getting to know Jon and Hayley, I met the woman that she's speaking of, Mama
Mother Hug.
Mama Hug in Pensacola Teen Challenge in 2012. She also came to minister and to pray with the ladies that were there. And I was already estranged from my children. And what stuck with me is that she had taught me to pray over my heart, but I'm praying over the broken places that I put in my children's heart.
Yeah.
And I never stopped doing that. And so when we realized that was just like a God wink.
Yeah.
We're all connected somehow. And it was super awesome.
Confirmation.
So, yes. Yeah.
She passed away about 1.5 years ago, but just a very, very special woman.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. What was that like for you? That can be hard.
inner
Was that
healing?
Yeah.
No, her passing away. Was that a trial in your
was
sobriety?
terrible. Not in my sobriety.
Okay, so that did not get
I knew
tested.
who I was at this point. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But I know that I was one of the last persons to see her before she passed, and I know she was ready to go to heaven.
Okay. Well, amen. So let's back up. What was that inner healing like for you?
It was really digging deep.
Yeah.
It was one-on-one. Come to my house and let's talk. And anything that even came up, with my parents, because my dad did come back into my life. I sought out, him and right before we got married. And so she kind of helped me, walk through some of that with him. And is he sober? Because he was sober for 4 years.
Okay.
And, she walked, with me through that.
When he was sober? I'm so sorry.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Because it kind of happened around the same time that I met her.
Okay.
I guess he came a little later than when I met her. But she, all the wounds, how you deal with wounds, how abandonment can,
Sure.
Yeah.
all the things. She helped walk both of us, even through marriage, like early marriage.
What
How
was
to
your
deal.
highest hurdle? What was the hardest thing to let go of that was holding you down?
There were things with my dad and with my mom.
So resentment?
Just holes, abandonment, because I felt abandoned from both of them.
Yeah.
And then there was a situation with my mom that I'd rather not speak about that she really, really walked me through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But not resentment, just kind of a feeling of neglect, missing out.
Where were you?
Just desire, really. Wanting,
I think the resentment part, there was some of that, but I think I just wanted to love them and be loved, so it was, walking me through how to deal with that, how to pray for them, pray over my heart.
Yeah.
And even, we probably wouldn't have the ministry if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she had a heart for addicts and,
The broken.
people.
So through that process, you were able to forgive her.
Yes.
Can you talk about what that looks like but for somebody who may not understand. And I'm not talking about necessarily the process, but how do you know you've forgiven somebody? Like what tells you you've forgiven them?
I think the love changes from, I love my mom and dad, but I forgive them and I honor them. I honor them with love now.
How do you honor them? Because I'm thinking of somebody out there listening and going,
What does that look like?
Yeah.
Honor what? Honor, they're right. It's like,
Because, and my parents and I don't have the best relationship.
yeah.
Trying to speak to them different, especially my mom, because she still pushes me away. And so instead of fighting back or yelling back
Or
saying something
getting angry,
sarcastic, I think it's time to get off the phone now.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Trying to cool it off wherever it's at. And I love you. I'm going to have to go.
So, wow, what a great response, because, and I wasn't even thinking that way, right? Oftentimes we think of honor as somehow showering them with some sort of behavior that, and I'm going to say something that in some ways is true, but showering them with behavior that's undeserved. And listen, that's true of all of us. We don't deserve the good things we get. That's just the reality of it. Talk for another show. But it doesn't have to look like that even in the definition. You're just simply talking about being respectful. I get that they're still in a broken place. There's no benefit in me drawing swords on them when they cross that line. I will bow out gracefully and respectfully and pray for them in that moment. And that can be honor.
Yeah. And I think that's the best way that I can honor either one of them.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like both of you have honored both of your parents in today. It wasn't, this was their fault, they did this. These were broken people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I made my own mistakes. I owned mine. This is what I'm doing. That's still honoring them.
Yeah. So on that, there were times where my dad would beat me really, really bad.
Yeah.
And afterwards, he would start crying and he would apologize. And he would start telling about what happened to him as a kid. And I'm 8, 9, 10 years old. I do not
understand.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand and I don't care. I don't care what happened.
It's almost
to you.
more infuriating.
Yeah. But now as an adult,
you're looking back.
I do. The Lord has given me compassion for him because I see how broken he was and he didn't get the help needed. He would never go to counseling. He would never talk about his childhood. He would never talk about emotions or feelings. He just kept bottling it up. And so I was like, Lord, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. Even though this is awkward, uncomfortable, I've got to be willing to do this because I want to break that chain.
Amen.
Right.
Of my granddad and my dad and my brother and not just let my identity be, well, we're Klovers and this is just who we are. That's the whole stinking thinking that the Lord had to break me from to say, that's not me.
Amen.
I'm not going to
pride
be
and
that.
arrogance. Yeah.
Can I pause you on that point
Absolutely.
real quick? Because that's such a powerful point that you have both made together in different statements. Your wife just said a few minutes ago when I said, did that threaten your sobriety when Mama Hugs died? You said no, because at that point I already knew who I was. And you talked about that shifting identity, right?
Yes.
At sometime in your late teens, it went from this is just a nagging behavior to, well, I guess that's who I am.
Yeah.
This is what the Klovers do. We fight, we
Yes.
drink. And so you bought into what a profound shift from this is something I need, just an irritating fly that won't leave me alone, to this is who I am.
Yeah.
And then to find
That this is not who I am.
the reality of that later on.
Right.
Yes.
And I think addicts as a whole, when you know who your identity in Christ, that's the breakthrough.
Amen.
It's not sobriety. It's not this impossible thing to stay away from this thing. It's no, I know the Lord has healed me. He's delivered me. He's freed me.
I know exactly
now I don't
who I am.
need that because I know who I am in Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean things may not come up that make you think and struggle.
We may struggle.
Right.
Right.
But that now becomes a reminder of who I was.
Yes.
And a sign to run to who I am, to run to my Savior. So what was your own travels to forgiveness? Because there's a lot to forgive. You both had, I mean, what a blessed union here, because you guys have had to forgive profoundly, right? We're
Those
not talking
closest to you.
Yeah. But I mean, profound offenses.
Yeah. So I actually met Mama Hug when I first got saved. She was at that church, and she was doing inner healing classes. And I took one class, and I realized now in hindsight, what I did was basically throw a Band-Aid on all those wounds. I thought, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I feel called to ministry. I want to do ministry. I'm ready to just move forward. And so from 2007 to 2012, I was in youth ministry, started as a youth leader, then was able to become a youth pastor, and not realizing that had become my new identity. Because now I was a somebody to me.
Yeah.
You know, I had arrived. And for the first probably 5 years I was saved, I didn't drink at all. But I did start casually drinking. I knew other believers that did it, and they were okay with it, and it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah,
So
They weren't alcoholics.
Yeah.
yes, I can do that. I
Yeah.
can.
I'm not that person anymore.
Right. Didn't date for almost 5 years at all. It was me and the Lord. It was a beautiful time.
Yeah.
But then dating was hard, because it's like, how do I date in a godly way? I don't know what this looks like.
Yeah.
And this is very, very different than what's always been in the past. And so at that time I did date a girl. I think we were 2 years in, and it was very, very serious. But we allowed sexual sin into that marriage or into that relationship. And it opened that door again.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I knew it was wrong.
Did it anyway.
Did it anyway.
Because
but
I'll be different.
Yes. And I thought, well, I'm going to marry her. Like, we're together. This isn't a hookup. This isn't a fling. But that stirred that in me to where then I got involved with another woman at the same time. And it all got exposed.
Yeah.
And when it did, my little world came crashing down.
And you were devastated. Literally.
I was devastated. Because again, that had become my identity. And so now I'm let go by the church.
Yeah.
It's abrupt. I'm full of shame. I'm full of guilt. I'm in that area. And so.
An even more dangerous area for you, because you finally, you had come to a good place.
Yes.
And it's like, well, how do you not go back to that mindset that you battled? How?
And that's exactly what I did. I self-destructed. Because I caused this time. I did this.
Can't blame him.
Nope. Can't blame anybody but me. And now my world is over. And
maybe
so,
this is just what Klovers do.
That's right. That was it.
Did that come back?
I went right back to drinking. I isolated myself completely.
I mean, did it get as deep as that? Did you start thinking? Did you start questioning?
I question that. I definitely question that, of like, I'm my own worst enemy. This might truly be who I am. You know, again, looking at my older brother, he couldn't run from it.
Yeah.
I've tried to run from it. I thought I was different.
And this is what happened.
Yeah. And so then the drinking was really bad. I for the first probably 2-3 months, I just isolated myself in my apartment. I was so full of shame and guilt. I didn't want to go out in public. I didn't want to see people. And I'll never forget, my sister lived near Tuscaloosa at the time. And I drove up there to just try to clear my head to get away. And in that drive, I mean, I had lost everything to me. It wasn't just the finances. It was the title and the position, and people who I thought were friends who now had distanced themselves. And so I was very suicidal, actually, on the way up there. Considered driving head on into semis when I was driving. I got up there the next morning. I was showering, and I honestly, like, this, it was demonic. I know that now. But this thought of just, man, slit your wrists, slit your throat. Just, you've literally ruined your life.
There's no hope.
There's no hope.
No coming back from this.
The very person you didn't want to be, you've now become.
Yeah. And it's
you
like
did
an
this.
audible voice.
Yes. And so it was just fighting that off. And that's when it was absolutely the Lord. But Mama Hug was part of that part of my season, where her and 2 other people who were mentors in my life, who knew what happened. We didn't meet in a church.
Yeah.
They met me outside the building and said, look, we believe in you. Your story's not over. And so it was a 1-year process, a restoration process. I would meet with Mama every week in her home. I went to so many of her classes.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that there was still so much trauma.
The Band-Aid had come off.
Yes. that relationship, even though I was living for the Lord and he gave me a chance in ministry, I was still just wanting to be loved. That little boy in me just wanted to be loved and accepted.
Yes.
Well, and you made a very good point. You said he had given me a chance in ministry. I'm not sure he wasn't letting you see that you can have wrongful identity in anything.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Because you said, now I found my identity here. And I know that you meant that as that was also wrongful.
Right.
Right. Your identity is not as pastor or as, church leader. It's as broken, humble person in need of a savior. You put me where you want me, and that's good. It's right. Yeah.
Child of God.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Wow.
So, that process brought so much healing in that time. And it was just that, like, I finally saw that my identity couldn't be in the church, couldn't be in ministry, and had to be like David and give it for the Lord and say, Lord, even if I don't do ministry again, I just need to get in right standing.
I'm going to be okay as long as I have this with you.
Yes.
That church, no church, like, I just want you.
Right. And it was coming out of that season, again, it was a year, so it was the year of 2013, where the Lord just started like giving me such a heart for others that were broken. The others that actually were in my youth group, who now a couple years later were young adults in the area, who I'd see at Walmart, who I'd see at restaurants. They had strayed away from the Lord themselves. You could just tell, and the Lord was saying, who's going after them? And it was nobody, but it was 3 people that came after me, that actually pursued me and showed me the love of Jesus in that moment when there was nothing I did to earn or deserve it.
And no one else was coming.
No one else was coming. They were Jesus in the flesh in that moment to me.
And what a profound, I'm overusing this word profound, but your stories are profound. So that's the word of the day. What a profound imagery of Christ himself, who the beauty of it is not that we ever sought him, but that he sought us.
That's right.
Right? I mean, the fact that he runs after us, it would make sense for us to run after him. He's got everything to offer us. We have nothing to offer him, and yet he pursues us.
That's right.
Right? So what an amazing depiction of that in these 3 people that chased after you and did that. How do you guys meet?
You want to say that part?
So it wasn't long. Well, I guess we met. I was a personal trainer at a gym, and it was the gym that he went to before I gave my life to the Lord, the real time.
Yeah.
And so we met, and he started asking for advice from me, nutrition advice.
Were you working an angle here?
Oh yeah. I knew what I was doing.
I think I went out with him once or twice.
Yeah.
And I did not like him. I was like, nope, you're too much. I cannot do that. But I was not living for the Lord.
Yeah.
And you were.
Yes.
Was it his faith that was too much for you?
Probably.
Interesting.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You're like, nope.
He was a lot.
Yeah.
I was intense. I was ready to settle down too.
Yeah.
He was ready to get married. And I was
Date
like,
one, that was evident.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't do that marriage thing. And then like 2.5, 3 years go by, and he is about to go to like ministry school and ask for my address just to mail me newsletters.
So I'm sorry, just to be clear, you go out on a couple of dates, 2 or 3 years go by of no dating?
Right.
Okay, and then this happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so he messages me, asks for my address, and I'm now walking through the inner healing part at the church that I'm going to now. And I was in the forgiveness chapter, and so I was writing letters of forgiveness of, I'm so sorry for acting this way, or, mom and dad and everybody, a lot of people got a letter. And I had been previously very ugly to him. I didn't
She was mean
do
to
it the
you.
proper way.
He says mean.
I was very rude. So I wrote him a letter of forgiveness, and he came back with, "You want to go get coffee?"
Bingo.
Winning.
Yep.
Okay, so you went and got coffee.
I got coffee, and we got married 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't too much this time.
No, he was not.
Well, because what he was saying, the things, now they made sense to you.
Yeah.
It wasn't foreign.
Yep.
Okay.
Boy, what that is. Yeah, I love that.
I do love that.
That's really neat.
And so that was when?
2017 we got married.
Okay.
2018. We met.
We're going to go.
But we did know that.
What day is your anniversary?
We did know that we both came, we had
Yeah.
openly talked about that, what we came through as kids. And so part of our premarital was going to Mama Hug to get that because we just said, we don't want any of this in our marriage moving forward.
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful that we did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I can't imagine two people better suited to come together and serve in ministry
Yes.
together. Right? So tell us a little bit about that. You guys come together in really kind of a miraculous way here. I mean, this could have never come back together, right?
Yeah.
Now, what happens? How do you guys find this ministry?
So it really was birthed out of that 1 year that I went through restoration of just seeing how those three people, I really feel like it was like the Lord showed the ingredients of what restoration looks like.
Okay.
Because all three people serve different roles. Mama was inner healing. I had another, he's my spiritual father in Orlando, Sean. I always say like he was the tough love.
Yeah.
He was the one that was like, stop being a knucklehead, you know better.
Yeah.
And then the third one was a mentor of mine named Scott, who he would always reconnect me to the God in me. Like his kids were in my youth group. So he would tell me stories about how I influenced their life and touched them. And so he was pulling the God in me back out.
Yeah.
And so it really just, we realized at that moment, I went to ministry school, like she said. So the Lord was really stirring that in me, but it was while we were dating. And so here we are, like, I left a career job to pursue this. And was like, hey, are you on board with this? Because this is what it's going to look like. Yeah, this is fundraising and being reliant on the Lord entirely. And obviously, I knew her background as well, and so she had a heart for broken people as well. Coming out of that, and so that's how it started. Was just going after people in our community that we knew had strayed away for whatever reason, meeting them outside the church, not trying to connect them to church, but connect them to Jesus.
Yeah.
Lost sheep.
Yes, going after the lost. Because when you've been the lost, you know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And when someone comes after you, you definitely know what that felt like.
Yes. And I do believe that's why the Lord allowed me to go through that season of restoration. Because the first part for me 20 years ago was salvation.
Right.
Understanding that, he pursued me and he bought me with a price. But then it was the heart of God, the heart of the Father in that restoration.
Well, I think identity.
Yes. Yes.
Right. I think that was the key.
Yes.
He was teaching you your identity. Was that a scary, as much as you have a heart for people, was that a scary proposition?
Absolutely.
Like to hear that's like,
Yes. And I will say, what kind of changed for me was he was doing homeless ministry. So feeding the homeless, outside of the church, just going and had a group of people. And I was taught to be terrified of homeless people. You roll your windows up, you lock your doors.
And don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, have fun with that, because I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And he was like, he just kept inviting me while we were dating. You want to come on this Sunday that we're, going out? And I finally was like, okay, but I'm not talking to anybody. And so I went a couple times, and I think what changed with me was this one lady I'll never forget. She would always come get food and then go back. She didn't talk. And then the one time she asked for prayer for deliverance from alcoholism. And we kind of asked her story, and she had, I don't know, failed a paycheck or something, and then was on the streets for like one night was her plan. And she had her belongings with her purse, identity, everything. And someone raped her and stole her purse. So she had
No
nothing.
ID. No, nothing.
Wow.
And so to fall asleep every night, she drank herself to sleep. And so I was like, these are not, like, this could be me.
Yeah.
If I lost a job,
That's right.
2 weeks later, I'm probably going to be homeless. And so my heart changed for them. I actually started cooking the meals for them and preparing everything. And then I think with, addiction, wanting to pursue that, it was years of doing that, the homeless ministry. But there was this one guy, David, and we got him almost sober a few times, almost into rehab. And one time he relapsed, and he was passed out with a needle still in his hand. And it broke me. I saw my dad. Mm-hmm. And from then on, it was like, okay, the addiction, that's what, well, we're in, take your life.
So I want to ask, or maybe, well, let me just say what I'm thinking, because this can be hard, because especially after such a powerful break that you had there, gosh, that's just such a realization. I do want to be careful though, right? Because we can impart wisdom. We can be in the helping profession. We can love these people. But that doesn't mean if you're in a bad part of town to necessarily throw your car doors open and you open your wallet. It's okay to be wise. It's okay because it's okay to understand that many of these people are really there and have true hard luck stories that all of us do. It's also okay to recognize that some of these people are caught up in lifestyles that promote bad behavior.
Yes.
It's okay to recognize that. Even without calling them bad, they are acting badly.
Right.
And in that moment,
Yes.
you're not going to change them. You're probably going to get hurt. So we can have wisdom and still have love for these people, right? But I love that story.
Yeah.
I just love that awareness and that acceptance. Like, okay, no, this could be.
Guys, I typically, I feel like, your story is so intriguing that Catherine and I probably stepped on it way too much because we're chomping at the bit to ask questions. So I typically kind of wrap it up, but I'm actually going to ask you guys to do that if you feel comfortable. If you were to wrap this up, if you were to package some takeaways that you would want the listening audience to hear, what would it be?
What would you leave them with?
One thing I think is a good way to move in that direction, but we didn't hit on it, is when we first got married, we even said like, okay, on our anniversary, we'll do, a bottle of wine. Like we'll just reserve it to, and we realized very early on, I remember we both had mutually agreed to that. And I only had like 2 glasses and something was wrong with her. But she couldn't say it. She couldn't identify it. And it was the next morning when she said, you know what, when I just smelt it on your breath, it was like PTSD. It just reminded me of my dad.
Yeah.
And so we then had together make an agreement that we just were not going to allow anything into our marriage.
Amen.
And I believe that was the turning point, because what the Lord said was, how can you walk other people through freedom if you yourself aren't free?
That's good.
And the door blew open after that. After we truly said, okay, there will be nothing, Lord, that we will play with from anything that, our families or just our previous, our past. And I believe the Lord, there was an honor in that, him saying, okay, now I can use you. Yeah. Because you yourself aren't dabbling in stuff.
Yeah. I'm not leaving that one foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now when we're meeting, the Lord it's shifted a lot from homeless ministry. We don't do that now. It's a lot of jail ministry. That's where most of the people we meet is in jail. And they're in that place of brokenness. And I feel like now we can talk to them of, yes, I can show you that mugshot and say that was me, but I don't even play with that because of what you said. It's John 10:10. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Yes. And that's not something you take lightly. That's not something you wrestle with.
Right.
But the other side of it is that Jesus has given you abundant life. The choice is, are you going to wrestle with this, or are you going to go after that abundant life that he has? Yeah. And now, praise God, we're able to live in that abundant life that I never thought was possible. Yeah. But it does come with identifying, what am I allowing? What was I allowing into my life to give the enemy a foothold? Yeah. And so I would just say that if there's any type of addiction in your life or any in your family's life, there's something there. Don't give him a foothold. Yeah. Don't leave that door cracked open and think I can have just one, or it's just a
I will say this to that, and then I would love to hear what you had, but what you're saying reminds me of kind of the 12-step. You'll hear this in the rooms there where they say, you have to be at least as dedicated to your recovery as you were to your addiction. Yeah. Right. You were all in on your addiction. Nobody could tell you not to use. Right. In your recovery, you need to be in that place where nobody can tell you to use. Yes. Right? I mean, you really do need to be totally up. You have to be as passionate about your recovery as you were your addiction. So I love that. Yeah. That's what I kind of hear in that.
Hayley? So I think for me, if whatever the generational curses are in your family,
Yeah.
deep addiction, alcoholism, sex abuse, whatever it is, never give up hope on yourself, because there are so many people that love you and want to walk you through the process of freedom, true freedom and peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding. There's so many people that want to help you, walk you, and stand by you through that process.
Well, and I'll add that just because it's always been this way doesn't mean that it has to stay that way.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Y'all are living proof.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how old you are.
You know, Hayley, you bring up something important there, but I want to say that what you just said is true, even if the person listening doesn't see those people right now.
Right.
Right. Sometimes and it was part of your story. It was probably part of your story. Sometimes we're trapped in these walls of secrecy, family secrecy, and we can't see who's outside those walls. Yeah. So what I just want to add to that is that outside of those walls are the people she's talking about. Yeah. You may have to knock down a few walls. You may have to step through and break those secrets that are keeping you bound. But those people are waiting to help you. I promise you. Thank you guys. Really profound stuff. And thank you guys for being a part of this. We love you. More importantly, Jesus loves you. And we'll see you next time on Jesus Loves Addicts.